Hello and welcome back to the market. So let's see how Bitcoin closed the week, the price, and then read something interesting from Dr. Profit, which just posted an hour ago. And let's go with the Bitcoin price, which it seems to be forming. Maybe it will turn into a bullish flag. We'll have a small retest here and we'll have a lot of people being liquidated again. Now probably a lot of shorts might be liquidated, and let's see. On the weekly, it closed at 79,463, which is it's quite alright actually. And it opened at 62. It closed at 79, so that's a lot. Now it seems to be going down a little bit, and let's go back and check the liquidation. Let's zoom in. You can move this. This is a very interesting tool actually, and the short liquidations seem to be moving in slower, seem to slow down actually. And in the last 2 days we had more longs liquidated, and yesterday we didn't have a lot of liquidations as previously, and as of today we seem to be having more long liquidation for now. And yeah, we'll see what will happen in the next few weeks. And I believe the bottom is in, and we're going to get into that as well. And yeah, Ethereum closed at 2,545 and 88 cents, and it opened at 1,873. So that's also a nice one. Let's check my coins really quick. On daily we are moving up, on hourly we are going down. I'm keeping for I'm holding them for a longer term. I'm not actively trading. So the next thing that I want to show you, which is more interesting and we should discuss about, it's here. So what the doctor said just not long ago, and it's this. I always wondered where this thesis came from, that the bear market resistance band must stop Bitcoin. I think people are trying to find ways and reasons and patterns in order to trade, and maybe you get some lines, some bands that there is a higher chance that they will stop a price action if there are no events. However, if there is a time with interesting or like bigger events, it will not stop any price action. So people who are holding on to patterns and to resistance bands in times when big changes are coming, they're slow-minded, and they just don't. You have to keep an open mind and be more flexible. So if you have events, bigger events on the market, then the lines don't matter. The lines matter only when you don't have any big events, and when it's a boring time basically. So he says that Bitcoin would erase all of its July gains in August. And I checked the map earlier, and it wasn't really like that. Some others kept spamming that in the midterms year Bitcoin bottoms in October, which he says weird stuff. And let's go on the Bitcoin chart a little bit and check it. And I side with him on this one. So midterm year. I think it was 2022, was it? And in 2022 it bottomed in December. I think was it in December, the lowest 550, and no, it was November actually, and also July. Let's see, July gains. Yeah, it went down here. However, it's not the case for every year. It's not the case. For example, let's check 2025, which is theoretically was a bull year, but not for the alts. So July and in August went down, however, not fully. But if we go further back in 2021, July and August were both bullish. So I'm dismissing as well those theories, and I'm siding with Dr. Profit on this one. And people are trying to find patterns, and Cowan is. I watched him a little bit, and he's basically too mathematical, and he's ignoring all the market motions. He's focused on mathematics, and it's not focused on emotions and improvements and events. Just on pure mathematics and pure lines, and that's something that you have to consider sometimes, but not in let's say not in periods with interesting or big events, or when the market moves beyond the mathematical lines, I would say, and breaks the expectations and makes surprises. So hundreds of people in my replies kept repeating the exact same narrative. So I did what I always do. I analyzed myself, which I recommend everyone should do, and analyze it yourself. So I found zero convincing evidence that these bands were bearish for Bitcoin at these levels, while I clearly expected August to be bullish rather than bearish. So how many bearish months did we have in this year? So we started with January bearish, bullish. This one is like more for break even. So let's say April was bullish, and then we had two bearish, and if we would have had another one, I mean, it has to be a little bit more bullish, more green months. So until now we have about 4 green months. If we close above this, and I think we will. We still have a week though, but I think we will close it on green. So let's keep reading what the doctor says. Where was I? So I said I was expecting August to be bullish rather than bearish, and I didn't even waste a minute analyzing the midterm years, as the current year is the year of macro tokenization and big change in regulatory aspect, including the Clarity Act. And Cowan, I think that's rather an attack on Cowan's theories, because he's analyzing all the years, and what happened in 1970 something on gold, and on is doing stuff like that. If you watched him, and I think you watched, if you're in this market, you've certainly watched him at least a few times, and I'm watching him sometimes too, but I think it's rather more like listening to radio. It's not something you should just take. He's showing some interesting charts, but he's not always right. And last time he waited the bottom 5 months after the bottom was in. So I think this time he's doing the same. He expected now bottom to be in November or December, and maybe even October. And a lot of people are following him, and everyone got surprised And not just him, you have other people who were expecting the same. And I think that's what the market does in the end. It will surprise everyone. So, unfortunately, these arguments, being the main arguments for bears in the last 30 days now, there is nothing but pure silence from them. I don't wonder what happened to them, but I wonder why they have been so convinced and so certain that they fully missed out. Yeah, you have to think with your own brain, not just follow some mathematical pattern. At least in times of change, you have to keep your mind open, analyze it yourself, and think what would the market, think what would the whales do, what would the people who would genuinely want to make an improvement on the market do, and what would the crowd do, and is the crowd always right? Usually not, but sometimes it is, sometimes not. So you have to think with your own brain. And let's read some comments. Rand Bloomer rules ourselves. The 200-week reclaim is real. 77,734 versus 64,289. But 3 of 5 ERA reclaims found within 90 days, and the clock reads day 322 of 364, 406 window. Neither side owns it yet. Grade lens November 22. So he's expecting a bottom on November 22. And if the people will start getting too bullish and we will see more of an upside move, we might see a downtrend. However, I don't think we will see another lower low. We might see Bitcoin moving here and then doing something like this, but the correction might be from 95 to down to 82, 83. This could also happen, but in this case, both can claim victory. I think the bears would say, oh, I shorted it here, but a lot of people are shorting it here, and they get liquidated. So I'm not doing leverage. Now, if you do leverage, be careful and do your research. And if you check those indicators here, you can tell we should have a bullish period now. We are on red since November of 2025, which is 3, 6, 9, 10 months. And last bear market we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do something else. Let's do like this. And I think it turned green somewhere here. So we had how many? From January to April 2023, around that time. Let's go one more. How many bars are there? 15 bars or 16 bars, but the bottom was already in. How many red bars did we had from the top? How many red bars? Let's count the red bars only, not from the top, until we reached the bottom. So we had 11 red bars until the bottom. And right now we had, let's see, we had 9 bars. And even Count said the bear market, the cycle could be shorter in some of his videos, but he's got a lot of videos since then, and yeah, theories changed, but sometimes if you are too mathematical, you can miss out a lot. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Also, we are at 63% chance of holding the same rate. And yeah, that's it for today. Of course, let me know what you guys think. Do you side with Dr. Profit, or are you still waiting for a bottom as Cowan does and other people? Of course, people are 50-50. If I were to see 80%, 70, 80, 90% of the people being bullish, I will start to panic and wait a correction. But until then, I think we cannot talk about the correction right now because people are expecting it too much and are shorting it too much. Yeah. I'm waiting for a sentiment change, but yeah, we don't know when that will happen. But we can just keep following the news and